Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and I'm coming to you with another Garage Gun Talk. And I got a lot of stuff to talk to you guys about tonight. A lot of stuff to unpack, and it's on a wide variety of topics. And I first want to talk about some guns that I took to the range yesterday and give you guys my initial thoughts and impressions. I like to do that whenever I shoot guns before I really film the range report proper and see what you guys think. I want to talk about some possible upcoming content on my channel and see what you guys think, if it would be interesting or worthy to put up there. I want to talk about a kind of a current event story that I saw Mr. Guns and Gear talk about regarding New York possibly banning Glocks entirely in the state of New York, and what I think gun companies need to do and what we need to do as lawful gun owners to fight this kind of stuff. And lastly, I need to talk about Rumble and what's going on the Rumble channels and what I'm going to be doing moving forward and why. So let's go ahead and talk about the guns first, because I think many of you guys are most interested in that. So I took two guns to the range yesterday. In fact, it was last night, and it was a nice night at the range, kind of late. I was there until about 10 o'clock. I took the Coonan 357 Magnum, kind of 1911, and this thing is a really interesting pistol. Obviously shoots a revolver cartridge. And I took the Smith & Wesson Model 41 to the range, okay? So this is actually the first one that I shot. So let me go ahead and talk about this one. This is one amazingly accurate firearm. This thing is awesome. As you guys may know, I had some problems with this before taking it to the range because it was like full of like, I guess what was like cosmoline or something. I had to take the whole thing apart and clean it. And this gun is really, really accurate. I am very, very impressed with it. It took me a little bit to get the sights kind of dialed in. But I finally got them dialed in, mainly when it came to elevation. When it came to windage, everything was spot on. I did have some function and reliability issues with this gun. I was running CCI mini mags the entire time. I did have some failures to extract, some failures to eject, and I had some stove piping. And it seemed to happen more with one magazine than the other. I don't think it was the ammunition because, you know, CCI mini mags are, you know, it's pretty good stuff. Usually runs in almost everything. It's kind of like the recommended industry standard. And but I did have some ejection issues, some feeding issues, and so forth. But it's a target pistol, so I don't worry about that as much. But I will talk about that in the range report. I have a love-hate relationship with these grips. I am not a big fan of target grips. I don't like grips that wrap around pistols like this and try to conform things like your thumb and fingers into a certain position. I understand why these grips are the way they are, and probably target shooters love them, but I am not a big fan of them. These are okay, but I think I would prefer just like a standard set of grips on this gun where you have like, you know, standard panels versus it being like a wraparound grip. I'm trying to think of what else about this gun. I mean, this was a very positive experience. Oh yeah, these grips also, because they have this big, I guess I'm going to say magwell here on the bottom, but the magazines are kind of flush fit right here. It's actually sometimes hard to insert the magazines. Now, when I reviewed this, I tried to review it from the perspective of a target shooter. Now, I am not a competition shooter. I'm not a bullseye shooter. I'm not any of that. So I didn't do like a tactical review. I didn't do like a quick magazine change or shoot the gun fast. I wanted to shoot this from the perspective of if you bought it or you owned one of these classic Smith & Wessons, and you took it to the range, you just want to be a good shot with it. That's kind of what I did. I also tried to do some one-handed shooting as well. But the performance of this was, I guess the accuracy was great. The function was so-so. It's a beautiful firearm. There are a few things on it I would like to change, but overall, this is going to get a very, very positive review. And this is one of those guns that makes me look like a better shot than I actually am. I mean, extremely tight groups. And the trigger in this thing is amazing. It almost doesn't have a reset. And I know this is kind of hard to say, but or explain. When I shoot it, I pull the trigger back, the gun goes bang, okay? And if it cycles correctly, it's almost like there's no reset. So I'm going to have to use some of these little wall hangers and snap caps and see if I can catch what I'm talking about on camera, because the reset on this trigger, which is really light, is really short. It might be the shortest reset I have ever seen in any firearm. And it's amazing, but it's also a little bit disconcerting when you're shooting, not from a bad perspective, but just because you're so used to pulling the trigger and then having to release it, even a short distance. On this, you're like, wait, did it reset or did the gun malfunction? You don't know, because there's no reset to it. It's weird. And by no reset, it's not that it doesn't have a click. It's just ready to go as soon as you fire it. It's really different and interesting. So I have to kind of formulate my thoughts on that. All right, so now let's talk about the Coonan 357 Magnum, okay? And I mentioned in a previous video that I had some problems with this gun, because originally, the first time I took it to the range, I talked about how soft recoiling it is, but I started to have function problems because this gun also was full of what may have been white lithium grease. Like, whoever owned this before Jack bought it just packed this thing full of grease. And it's not like gun oil. It was like thick, high viscosity grease. And so I had to take the gun virtually apart, almost had to detail strip it to get it all out of here. But I had the grips off, internal mechanisms out, everything on this gun, because it just had so much grease in it. And I needed to get the trigger to work better and so forth. So I took it back to the range, and I was unable to complete a range report with it, but not because it wasn't functioning well, okay? So I cleaned it up, got it oiled. This gun now functions great. Okay, but this gun has, in my opinion, a number of fatal flaws. And by fatal flaws, I mean it's a gun you have to want to own and want to shoot, but I still think overall it's not going to be an enjoyable experience. A positive about this gun that's amazing is the recoil. You're shooting a 357 Magnum that has the recoil of a light 9mm. It's crazy that there's a disconnect between the power of 357 Magnum, the flash that comes out of this barrel, and the low recoil. I mean, the gun's heavy, it's big, but it's really interesting. Mechanically, this gun is very, very interesting. Okay, so that's the big positive. Let's go to the big negatives, okay? Now, after cleaning this up and getting it back to the range for the second time, now I really have a chance to shoot this thing and see how it shoots. So, because I only have one magazine for this gun, okay, so I tried to do my first shots with 2 mags. So I would load the magazine up, shoot it, and then load it up again, and then shoot it again. So it's more than just shooting 7 or 8 rounds, because that's all this magazine holds. But this is the biggest flaw of this gun, okay? 357 Magnum is a rimmed cartridge designed for revolvers. It was never designed or intended for semi-automatic use. Now, they make it work, but the design and dimensions of this magazine are really odd. You can't use an Uplula mag loader assist. You can't do that. And because the rim is so big, you have to put the rounds in this magazine a really awkward way. You can get 1 or 2 in here, but then it kind of sticks and you're constantly having to try to push really hard to get the next round to go in, but it has to go in a very specific way. And in fact, I should have brought it out. It's back in the safe. There was another thing that was in the box that I didn't know what it was. there's like what looks like a keychain that says Coonan on it. It's like a little plastic, you know, like little tiny like keychain thing of this gun, made of like green translucent plastic. It has the company name on it, and it's attached to what I thought at first was an Allen wrench, but it's not. It's like a little. Imagine an Allen wrench that's just smooth, that's cylindrical. And I was like, what in the world is this for? Is this going to adjust the sights? Is it part of the takedown? No, I've already had the gun apart. I have no idea what it was until I got to the range and tried to load one of these magazines. Now, I can do this with another Allen wrench. Let me see if this is going to be the right size. I discovered the only way to load these magazines is with this tool that they give you, or some other tool that would be like this Allen wrench. So you'll notice the follower right here has a little piece on it that has a hole in it. Now, it's not one of those things where you can grab onto from the side and pull down. You have just a little hole through it, and it's flush with the side of the magazine. You take that tool and you put it through the magazine like this, and then you can use your fingers and pull this down. Now that looks like it's pretty easy to do, and you think, oh, if I just pull it down like this, I can just load the magazine, or load the rounds into the magazine. And that's still not the case. This helps so much. You can either put it against the table, or you can do what I did and kind of use your thumb and finger and do this. But even as you put the rounds in, if it doesn't go in just perfect, they get caught all up here on the feed lips. But I'm sure it has to be these particular dimensions due to the shape of the 357 Magnum cartridge. You just can't load them from the top. You have to have. There is no other way around it. It's not a strength problem. You have to have a magazine assist. So you either have to have like a little Allen wrench or that tool that comes with it. And this is a fatal flaw. It makes loading this gun and loading these magazines an absolute pain in the butt. It's an arduous process. I know right now you're thinking, what in the world? He's complaining about that? Trust me, when you're trying to sit there and load, you're going to have problems. You'll load them, they'll get stuck up here, even though the follower's way down here. You got to hit it on the ground or push it and pull them back out. It's a nightmare to load. It is a nightmare to load. So that is the first fatal flaw of this gun. Okay, and it's because it's a 357 Magnum 1911. It is never, that cartridge is not designed for semi-auto. Okay? So, load the magazine, first shots. First magazine at 7 yards, which is my typical starting distance, I had a really tight group. Okay, maybe not super tight, but it was pretty good. About 1.5 feet low of the center of the target. Now, this is only at 7 yards. And I know some people are like, go get training, you're a terrible shot. No, my group was good. Like, it was, I would say it was about that, okay? 7 yards. But it was about 2 feet below the center of the target. Now, I am lining up these sights right here. I got like a typical, just kind of a U-notch in the back. And these are not adjustable, by the way. These are not adjustable. They are fixed. And you have that front sight, which is also fixed. And I am lining them up just like you're supposed to, okay? So the top of the front sight is matched up with the top of the rear sight. And it is shooting 2 feet low at 7 yards, okay? I load up another magazine. I put another magazine through it, and I'm going, it's going low. I shot almost for the head on a IDPA silhouette, and it was finally hitting close to the center. It shoots that low. And I knew at this point, continuing the range report is probably going to not be fun because everyone's going to complain about how bad I'm a shot on it. But the grouping was good. This gun shoots so low it's unusable. The sights, something has to be done to these sights. What that is, I don't know. But this gun shoots crazy low. I don't know why. But I thought, okay, well, let me move to a bench or barrier test. Normally I do, 7 yards, then I go to like 15 yards and so forth and move out to 25. So I said, you know what? Because it's shooting so low, it could be me. Maybe I'm anticipating the recoil of 357 Magnum, which I'm really not because it's such a light shooting gun. So I shoot it from like the bench, the barrier. Even tighter group, but 1.5 feet below the center of the target. It is the sights. It's the sights. But I thought, since I'm not going to continue this range report because it is so far, the sights are so far off, it's not worthy of doing. I did want to try to shoot it fast. So I shot it fast, and then I discovered something. Well, I shouldn't say discovered. I confirmed a thought I had about this gun that I mentioned when I first got it. For a 1911 style firearm, this is the shortest beaver tail I have ever seen. And when this hammer is back, you can see, if you like to ride your guns high, which I think that is the modern technique, right? You're going to ride your guns pretty high. Yep, you already know where I'm going with this. Let's see, right there. And that was after 7 rounds, 8 rounds. I was already getting bit like crazy. And I know what you're saying, well, hold it further down. But once my hand is down here to avoid it, this is not a proper grip. This is not right. I shouldn't have to have my hand so low away from that hammer so I don't get hammer bite. That is not acceptable. And I know what some people will think, well, this gun was made in an era before we had like the crazy beaver tails we have now. This isn't even as long as a mil-spec 1911 beaver tail. This thing needs a beaver tail, like the big ones, like you would see in like a modern, like, you know, Colt XSC series. I guess I don't make the XSC series, but you guys know what I'm talking about, Kimber or the like. This is unacceptable. I was getting hammer bite, and you guys know I got big old fleshy hands, and I'm getting hammer bite. So the gun shoots crazy low, and it bites me. So I did 3 things. I did my first shots, the from the bench at 7 yards, the shooting fast, it bit me, I was done with it. The gun functions way better though. So that's my experiences with it. Mechanically, it's interesting, but this is a miserable gun to shoot between the magazine, the point of impact, and the biting of my hands. So that's what I discovered about this. All right, so that's the guns that I reviewed. What do you guys think? Have you ever shot either of those? And do my experiences kind of mirror anything you've experienced before? Okay, now I got something else to talk about. I know this is probably going to be a long video. Some people like that, some people don't. But that's what you get here on the Texas Gun Vault 2. I want to ask you guys about a potential style of video on my main channel. Okay, now I'm going to name somebody, and right now I don't want this to be a discussion about the person because I don't want to talk bad or good about any other YouTubers, but they do a style of video or a type of video that I think might be interesting to some of you, and it's the Yankee Marshal. Okay, the Yankee Marshal has recently been doing a gun collection series where he'll do like 1 gun a day and do a short video on it. Maybe it's 3-4 minutes or 5 minutes on a particular gun, and he's going through every gun in his collection and talking about it. And sometimes it's kind of interesting to see what the guns are about or what his tastes are or whatever. It's just purely a gun video, right? And I was thinking to myself, because this summer, I recently did some estate planning, and so my wife and I got our wills and trusts all done, but I also had my gun trust redone, and it's much better now. And so to make sure that if anything happened to me, all of my firearms are, you know, in the even my Title I firearms are in a trust, so the inheritance goes to where I want it to go. I need to do a complete inventory and like spreadsheet of all my firearms, which I don't have. It's probably a smart thing to do. I got a lot of guns. So I need to go in there, take pictures of them, make sure I have the serial numbers all written down. And I was thinking to myself, because I have to do this inventory, would you all be interested if I made like a 5 to 10 minute video, depending on the story I want to tell, about all the guns of my collection? So like one day I would start off with, you know, episode 1 or part 1 and be like, okay, I'm starting off with the Glocks today, okay? And it'd be like my Glock Gen 1. I would talk about it, a little bit about the history of the gun, why I like it, why it's in my collection, possibly the story of how I acquired it, where I found it, what I like or don't like about it. Not a shooting video, and it would probably be more of a video where you wouldn't see my face. I would probably have the camera down here on the workbench, and talk about that. Now, I have so many videos in queue and so many guns I have to review. Doing this type of video might not show up on my channel anytime soon, okay? Or maybe I would do it in like small chunks and put it out from time to time. Is that a type of video you would be interested in? I would start probably with pistols and go through my collection of probably my Glocks, then my Smith & Wessons, then my Berettas, then my Colts, and so forth, and just go through every gun that I have and talk about what's interesting about it or historical about it or what I like about it or not like about it, why it's in the collection, why it's fascinating to me, or whatever I want to talk about it. And I can do that with like every gun. Then I'd get to my rifles and shotguns and so forth. But that would be a lot of videos, okay? It would take me a long time to make, but is that something you guys would like to see put into the queue? Does that interest you? And as I said, I know I'm kind of borrowing the idea from the Yankee Marshal, but leave him out of it because I know some people love him, some people hate him, okay? We're not here to talk about him. We're here to talk about that video style. What do you think? Tell me, is that something you would like to see? And maybe I can start making a few of them and kind of interjecting them throughout the regular releases that I do throughout the week. So tell me about that. All right, so now let's talk about the news story of Glock in New York. Now, I saw today the video where the state of New York is wanting to pass a law, and it's probably going to pass, where essentially they're going to try to ban any firearms using vague definitions that they claim can be easily converted to fully automatic. Even though the guns pass all of the ATF requirements, they've been deemed adequate for decades because people do illegal modifications to them, make or buy items that are highly illegal, and gang members use them in gangs and turn Glocks into full auto machine pistols, that they want to ban Glocks because they say Glock isn't doing anything about it. Even though Glock's not the ones doing it, they don't manufacture any of these auto sears or anything. And we all know what this leads to and their whole purpose. Their whole purpose is to ban all guns, okay? And they just do it through, lawfare, essentially. And I was thinking, there is something that we can do as a gun community, and I think gun manufacturers can do to kind of fight this. And I think there are some companies out there that do this. Like, I think it's Barrett. For example, Barrett will not sell or service any gun that is owned by a government or jurisdiction that does not allow their citizens to own their firearms. So if a state bans 50 caliber rifles and they don't let their civilians own 50 caliber rifles like Barrett makes, they will not service them and they will not sell to them. And I know people will say, well, they can get around that by buying from other sources and so forth. Yeah, I agree. But if all the companies did this, it would put these states in a world of hurt. So imagine if New York passes this law and Glock goes, fine, you ban us. We're not going to do business in New York. We're not going to sell to the New York State Police. We're not going to sell to the city of New York. You can't buy guns from us. You can't service them. And if every other company follows suit and their police departments, they're essentially private armies, which is what city police are, and their Gestapo enforcement squads can't get guns, and they won't service guns. Imagine how much that would hurt them. And I really feel like that is something that gun companies need to do. If they ban certain guns from civilians, they should go, no, we're not going to service you. And I know people say, oh, they're going to take a hit, and I get it, but that's how you win. You have to do it. And what do you guys think? And I know that there's always going to be those companies that won't follow. They're like, oh, Glock got banned and they're not going to sell to New York, but we will, whatever that company is, Smith & Wesson, Beretta, whatever. Then we, as a gun community, need to boycott that company. Oh, you'll work with the enemy? So New York bans Glocks from everybody, or Glocks from their civilians. And then Glock says, hey, we're not going to sell or we're going to fix your guns. And Smith & Wesson comes in and says, oh, we'll pick up the slack. Well, then we all go, well, fine, we're not going to buy from Smith & Wesson. We got to do something. That's the only way to get back at these jurisdictions until these laws are overturned in court. So what do you guys think? All right, last thing. I know the video is getting long. Rumble. Okay, now, if you follow me over on Rumble, some people like to follow me on Rumble. I've been having some issues with Rumble, but it's not the same issues you have with YouTube, okay? There's no censorship issues or any of that, okay? So let me tell you what's going on and how I'm going to handle the channels, okay? I try to upload to both channels. Now, typically, because Rumble no longer is allowed to sync to YouTube, it was so nice when all I had to do was upload a video to YouTube and Rumble would take it from my YouTube channel and post it on Rumble. It was awesome. It was amazing. It was great. And then obviously Rumble has taken off. They're getting bigger and YouTube doesn't like the competition. So they disabled Rumble from being able to do that. So now if you're a content creator on both platforms, you have to upload to both. So in order for my Rumble not to get ahead of my YouTube releases, what I do is I let a couple of weeks go out on the main channel where I'll have like 6 or 7 videos that are on the YouTube channel. Then I'll go back and upload all those videos manually to Rumble, and I'll do it like in a big dump. In fact, I did it like last night. I uploaded like 10 videos to Rumble on the main channel last night. So I'll do that. It's not a big deal. I just got to spend time doing that. When it comes to the Texas Gun Vault 2, it's a little bit harder because I can't upload. Rumble has to fix some stuff, okay? They're getting big, but they don't have a creator app like YouTube does, and they don't have a creator main page. Like, I can go on YouTube and I can aggregate all of my videos, see all the descriptions, I can organize them by settings, all these kinds of things. You can't do that with Rumble. Like, I can't go to there and just go, oh, let me see what comments are on my videos, click the comments button. You have to like find the individual video, click on that video, go answer that. It's miserable. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. And I don't know why they don't upgrade this, because if it's not fun and easy for content creators to use their platform and organize their material, answer comments, then it discourages us from uploading, okay? But in order for me to upload a Texas Gun Vault 2 video, I have to take the video that you're seeing right now, which I can upload from my phone to YouTube. I have to upload it also to my Dropbox, then download it from my Dropbox on my PC, and then upload it onto the Texas Gun Vault 2 on Rumble. I have to do extra steps, and it's miserable, and it takes so freaking long. So I hate doing it. It's why I'm so far behind in my Rumble. I think I've released like 25 videos since my last Texas Gun Vault 2 video, which I'm not going to go back on my phone and then upload them all to Dropbox. So I'm going to try to be better as I make these, do it to both. But if I get behind, you're not going to see all the Texas Gun Vault 2 videos on the Texas Gun Vault 2 on Rumble. Okay, on YouTube you will. And then finally, I have to say is that Rumble is, I understand they're a startup company, and they want people to upload content to their stuff, and they're a free speech platform. And I do not expect them to be able to financially pay the same thing that YouTube does when it comes to ads. However, I can tell that what little views I have on the channel, they are making money, like little, like I'm talking like 25 cents a video, okay? Like it's that little. But at the end of the month, the money that is generated through ads on my Rumble channel do not get posted to the little monetization like payout screen on Rumble. So if you watch on Rumble, I get nothing from it, even though the videos are monetized. There's something wrong with their system that it doesn't build up. It doesn't say, oh, you earned $8 last month, and we're going to take that $8, put it into the whatever the fund is. You have to wait until you have like $50 on Rumble before you can cash out, and Rumble does not pay that much, so it takes forever to get the $50. But it hasn't taken my monthly earning and put it into the account, until you can get the 50 for like 7 or 8 months. It doesn't work, and I've emailed them, and nobody at Rumble cares. Like, they're like, oh yeah, we'll get on that. We'll send it to our financial team, or we'll send it to our. Nothing happens. So it's discouraging, because I would love Rumble to take off. I would love them to be bigger than YouTube. I would love for them to be a great competitor. And I understand, and I'm not expecting them to be able to financially compete right now with the content creators that are on YouTube. I do not expect that. But if they have a system that is hard to upload to, hard to organize your videos, you can't see them, like there's no content creator app or page, and they have problems with monetization. It does not encourage people to upload. So I'm still going to keep doing Rumble stuff, but for right now, I'm going to have to stick with YouTube mainly because it's, number one, it's where all the eyes are. But number two, they're so much easier to work with. And even though they hate firearms content and firearms content creators, when we make money on a video, they actually pay out. Like if they sell ads on your video, they actually give you the ad revenue for that video. I know. It's like, okay, well, business-wise, they're a fair. Rumble is not. So I don't know. So if you're watching this video on Rumble, you've missed about 25 episodes of the Texas Gun Vault 2, and you probably should go over to YouTube and catch up on them there. So there you go. So that's everything I got. I know this is a 30-minute long video, so I'm sorry. Hope you guys don't think I'm wasting your time, but we talk about a lot of things. So if you made it to the end, the word of the day is a lot. I guess that's 2 words, because a lot is a lot of words. That's how I remember that. It's not 1 word, it's 2 words. A lot is a lot of words. Somebody told me that once. It's like one of those English things. So I guess the word of the day is 2 words, a lot. Because we talked about a lot. Smith & Wesson, Model 41, awesome gun. The Coonan 357 Magnum, no. It runs now. It's cool. It's a collector piece. It's mechanically interesting. And its recoil is amazing. This gun shoots 2 feet. 2 feet low at 7 yards. I can't figure it out. Like, I look at is it something wrong with the barrel? I mean, the bottom of the barrel does look like it's in quite a bit further than the top. Is it the sights? I don't know. I just don't know. There's something about it. It's terrible. It groups well, but the sights are so far off and you cannot adjust them. And the lack of a beaver tail, it bites the heck out of my hand. So anyway, that's it. So a lot. So I had a lot of problems with the Coonan. So let me know what you think about anything I talk about here tonight. Thank you for joining me here in the garage. And so as always, thanks for watching.